Well, hello again, and how things can change in just a few days. My last video showed empty bench, nothing to do, and then suddenly someone asked me if I would look at this high-end Yamaha amplifier for them, and it's a Yamaha CA-800 II. Now it's a very, very beautiful amplifier. It's a lovely machine, and this one was suffering from distortion. So I said I'd examine it and find out what the problem was. Well, it's taken me a while because the first clue, I suppose, was that it was distortion on both amplifiers. Whenever you played or put a phono input into it, or any input for that matter, the sound broke up immediately, and it was staccato and broken up and various other things. No hum, just a very broken, horrible sound. So downloaded the service manual, and again, big thanks to Hi-Fi Engine for a wonderful website. If anyone doesn't belong to Hi-Fi Engine and you need information, it's free to join, and it's very well worth joining. So from that, I downloaded the circuit diagram. It was obviously in pieces of A4, but I managed to get 4 pieces of it together and print it out. So lots of circuit diagram there to look at. And I would like also to say that I would never start one of these repairs without having the service information available, unless you're very familiar with a piece of equipment. This one I was not familiar with, and the thing to do to start was to take it out its box and to do some basic voltage checks. First of all, look for things like burnt components or exploding components. In this one, nothing like that was apparent. All 6 fuses were intact, so there were no blown fuses at all. So I set about measuring voltages, and on the 2 power boards, the 2 power amplifier boards, I had plus and minus 50 volts on one side of the boards, but it has a separate supply going to the power transistors, a plus and minus, I can't remember the exact figure, I think it was 60 and plus or minus 60 volts going to the other side. That may not be quite right, but those were totally missing on both amplifiers. So I started tracing, and with the help of some advice from Hi-Fi Engine, I traced and traced. As always, I cleaned all the controls, because cleaning controls can hide a multitude of problems, and then eventually I got back to the full wave rectifier panel, which was feeding this voltage that was missing. There was AC going, but I checked the AC, and there was no AC going into it. This is a switchable Class A amplifier, and that is achieved by an operation switch on the front. It's missing now because I've taken it out on the side here, and you switch it between Class A and normal, Class B. And but there was no AC from the power transformer getting to the rectifier. Now, the first thought was, okay, there's a short circuit diode. However, that would have taken out a fuse, and no fuses were missing. So the next job was to trace the AC into it, disconnecting a couple of things, and found that from the switch there was no AC. Disassembled the switch, and can I just say, disassembling this amplifier is not an easy job. It's a very complex, well engineered piece of kit, but I found that from the toggle switch in the operation for the Class A Class B switch, there was no AC coming out. And guess what solved it? Some switch cleaner. But to get at the switch, there are 2 micro switches there, as I'll show you in a moment, but to get at the switch that was causing the problem, you actually had to take the panel out and squirt it from the back. Having squirted some switch cleaner in, cleaned it, moved it a few times, the amplifier burst back into life. My first notes from it, I can't play much of it because of copyright, but the first notes I got from it were these, and it's Suzanne Vega. Okay, I won't give you any more of that because of copyright.
It's a one-time thing.
But the machine sounds absolutely superb. No more distortion, no more breakup. So that's the story of this week, basically. Taking this to bits and finding that fault. I'm now left with the task of putting it all back together again. So I'll be back to you in a few moments, because that's not the only job that's happened this week, and we'll talk a little bit more. So first of all, I'm going to reassemble this. Well, that's about it for this video. Thanks for watching the repair, fault finding and repair of the Yamaha CA-800 II and integrated amplifier. It's been a pleasure working on it because it's such a well constructed thing, although very frustrating at times because you simply cannot, let me turn it down, because you simply cannot get to the bits that you need to get to. But once again, indebted to Hi-Fi Engine for their help and advice, and also for the manuals and the circuits that you can download from them. As I said earlier, I would never attempt to look at a piece of kit like this without actually getting the service manual for it and doing the basics, such as checking the voltages and fault finding from there. And as always, and as I said just now, a simple fault, just a dry connection in this switch, caused that awful distortion. And simple to fix, not so simple to find, and a little bit fiddly to clear. Anyway, it's done, and I'm really pleased with the results. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to be back with you again soon with something equally interesting. But thank you for watching, and as always, take care.